What we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and work on number 47. You notice that we have log base 6 and we have x to the third divided by y, and that's raised to the 5th power. When you have a power raised to a power, you're going to multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. And then we have y that is raised to the 5th power. So in order for us to do for us to expand this, we know that we're going to have to use a quotient property. So we have log base 6 of x to the 15th minus log base 6 y raised to the 5th. And we know with the power property, the 15 and the 5 can go in front of the logarithms, and just as long as based on that property. So your answer is B. We have log base 7, and then we have the quantity uv raised to the 6th power, and that's raised to the 2nd power. And we want to expand this logarithm. So what do we have? We have log base 7, u to the 2nd, v to the 12. And since we know it's the product property, we're going to go ahead and we can separate it into 2 logarithms because it's the same base. We have log base 7, u to the 2nd, plus log base 7, and we have v to the 12. And now we can go ahead and put the powers into the front. That would, you can multiply that times each logarithm. And so your answer is going to be 2 times the log base 7 of u plus 12 times log base 7 of v. For 51, we're going to solve the following exponential equation. So we have 243 raised to the negative 3a is equal to 1 over 3. We know that 243 is the same as saying 3 to the 5th power, but we're still raising it to the negative 3a power. And remember that 1/3 can be raised, can be 3 to the negative 1 power. And since we have the same base, we know that it's going to be negative 15a is equal to negative 1. And we know that if it's the same base, then we can set the exponents equal to each other. So we have negative 15a is equal to negative 1. We divide both sides by negative 15, so your answer is 1 over 15. (56), which says solve each equation, round your answers to the nearest 10,000ths. So we have 19 raised to the negative 9x minus 4 is equal to 46. And since we're solving for x, we have to kind of isolate that exponential part of the equation. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. We notice that the negative 4 and the 4 cancel. So we have 46 plus 4 gives you 50. The next part is to write down the logarithms of each side. So we're going to find the logarithms of both sides. So now what we have is negative 9x times the logarithm of 19 is equal to the logarithm of 50. The next step is since we want to solve for x, we're going to divide by negative 9 logarithm of 19. So we have logarithm of 50 divided by negative 9 logarithm of 19. Remember, since there is no number in the base, it's by default is base 10. Go ahead and leave it like that, and then at the end, use your calculator to type that into the calculator. So what you have is you have logarithm of 50 divided by, and I sometimes use parentheses in the denominator, negative 9 logarithm of 19. And what we get is negative 1.476. That is the 10,000th place. So you look to the right, and we know that 2 is less than 5, so you truncate that. So your answer is C. So we're doing problem 1 on page 4. It says convert the angle to decimal degrees and round to the nearest hundredth of a degree. We have 57 degrees, 29 minutes, 38 seconds. So this is the way you want to write it. You have 57 degrees plus 29 minutes. And we know that 1 degree is 60 minutes plus 38 seconds. We know that 1 minute is 60 seconds, and I know that 1 degree is 60 minutes. So now all you have to do is type all of this into your calculator. And so when you type that into your calculator, you're going to get 57.493. We want to round it off to the nearest hundredth. So that 3 is less than 5, so it's going to be 57 plus 49, which is B. So now we're going to go ahead and convert this angle to degrees, minutes, and seconds. We're going to go and do the reverse of what we just finished doing. This is number 2. 175.27 degrees. So I have 175 degrees. That partial point, or that partial degree, is 0.27 degrees times 60 minutes is 1 degree. 60 minutes is 1 degree. You're going to use that ratio. The degrees cancel. So now you're left with 107 degrees and 16 minutes. It was actually 60 minutes, 0.2. So that 0.2, you're going to convert 0.2 minutes, that fractional part, to seconds. So it's 0.2 times that ratio. 60 seconds is to 1 minute. And of course, the minutes cancel. So when you multiply 0.2 times 60, you get 12 seconds. So to convert 175.27 degrees, you do this process and you have 175 degrees, 16 minutes, and 12 seconds. So your answer is A. The next problem, we have convert degrees to radians. Use a value of pi found on the calculator and round your answers to the 4 decimal places as needed. So you have 510 degrees times the ratio, which is pi to 180 degrees. We notice that the degrees cancel, so you're left with 510 over 180. The zeros cancel, so you have 51 over 18 pi. And then you simplify again, you get 17 pi over 6, which is B. Convert radian measure to degree measures. Use the value of pi found on the calculator and round the answers to the 2 decimal places. So in this case, we have 5 pi over 6. So we have 5 pi over 6 times 180 over pi. We notice that the pi's cancel. So you have 5 times 180 divided by 6. We have 180 divided by 6, which is 30. So 5 times 30 degrees gives you 150 degrees, so that gives you A. Find the exact values of the indicated trig functions, right fractions, and lowest terms. Remember the mnemonic statement that I asked you to memorize. We have sine, which is so, ka, toa. It says for the angle that we're talking about is find sine of A and cosine of A. So we're looking at A, and I'm going to call angle A theta. So the sides compared to theta, this 48 is a measurement of the opposite side. 36 is a measurement of the adjacent side. And the longest side here in the right triangle is 60, the hypotenuse. So we have sine, which is so, opposite of hypotenuse. We know that opposite of theta is 48 divided by 6. We could have divided each side by 12. And if we divided by 12, we would have gone to 4 over 5. I kind of did the long way, but if you divide 48 divided by 12, 60 divided by 12, you would get 4 over 5. Cosine of theta, remember, is ka, adjacent over hypotenuse. And we know that the adjacent measurement is 36. And we know the hypotenuse is 60. And once again, we could have simplified or divided the numerator and the denominator by 12 36 divided by 12 gives you 3. 60 divided by 12 gives you 5. So the sine of theta is 4 over 5. And the cosine of theta is 3 over 5, which is C. So for number 6, we have solve for x. Round your answer to 2 decimal places. We know that we have 58 degrees. We have the adjacent side, which is compared to the angle. And this right here, long side, is the hypotenuse. So which one uses adjacent hypotenuse? Remember, we're going to go back to our mnemonic statement. So, ka, toa. And you notice that cosine will be the adjacent over the hypotenuse. In this case, the adjacent is 17. The hypotenuse is unknown. We're going to cross multiply, which leads us to 17 divided by the cosine of 58. And if you were to type that into your calculator, you would get 32.8 units. Remember that you need to be in degrees for you to get the answer correctly. So the last problem in the review is an application problem. It says a kite is currently flying at an altitude of 20 meters above the ground. If the angle of elevation from the ground to the kite is 30 degrees, find the length of the string of the kite to the nearest meter. So here is the angle of elevation, which is 30 degrees. We're looking for the kite string. We know that from the kite to the ground is 20 meters. So we're looking for the hypotenuse. And of course, the 20 meters is the opposite. You would write down your mnemonic statement, so ka toa. We know we have sine of 30, opposite, which is 20, over the hypotenuse, which is h. So what do we get? We have, you cross multiply, you have h times the sine of 30, since you're multiplying the sine of 30. So you have 20. You have h is equal to, I apologize, it's going to be h times the sine of 30 is equal to 20. Since you cross multiply, then you have to divide by the sine of 30 and you get 40 meters. So your answer is B.